is something that has shifted culturally. It changes. It's something we grow and learn more about, and hopefully we are generally more moral than the if we're doing things right, than the generation that preceded us.
And the fact is, if you're willing to say, if God told me to rape a 12-year-old girl, I would not do it, then what you're actually saying is that you do accept your own moral responsibility and that you're not deriving it from your God. Because what you're claiming is that you have a sense of morality that you would not violate even if you believed a God was telling you to do this, that you would say, this is not correct and I would not do it. So you're basically saying, if I consider it moral, I will accept it. If God tells me to do it. But if I don't consider it moral, I won't accept it if God tells me to do it. And I think with hell, you're willing to say that you accept it because you're not really confronted with a reality. I think that if you had to really watch people be tortured, or if you had to really watch someone be annihilated and say that that was correct, I think it would be a little bit harder. But because we're talking about a mythological thing that is not really there, that there's not something manifesting that you have to actually confront, like child rape, it becomes easier to say, yeah, I support this, because it's not an atrocity that you actually have to watch.
And two quick things that I didn't get to because it was difficult to get an actual answer is, sit down and think about it for a while and try and figure out exactly what the point was in God creating this system at all in the first place. Why not, if supposedly he's omniscient or all-powerful, why not just create a bunch of good souls and let them live forever in heaven ahead of time? Why create this soul-filtering machine where we're going to send some of them to a paradise and some of them to hell when he already knew?
But the reality is there are no constraints. Like the idea that God is love and we can't stand before that kind of love, it's like, that's crap. If God is all-powerful, then we can stand before that kind of love because God can make it possible. So there's no constraints. You can't put constraints on it. Well, I guess you could, but you'd have to come up front with that and say, my God comes with all these constraints, and you'd have to define those before you came forward with your argument for God.
Yeah, and the last thing that we kind of almost marginally got to was you need some criteria for which you're going to determine, let's say, for example, that Jesus is good and Satan is evil, or any kind of distinction.
Yeah, because if I can't judge from the actions, how am I supposed to make the judgment? I mean,
normally what I hear from Christians who are at least more familiar with the Bible is the quote from Romans, where it says that God has written on the heart of every man so that they are without excuse. And this is used by them to say that God has written into our heart so that we know the difference between good and evil, and that is what we use as a barometer for determining good and evil. That's a problem for two reasons. For the exact same reason that your reliance on the Scripture is a problem. And that is that you're talking about an all-powerful being who can evidently make you do whatever he wants to do, and a not quite all-powerful being, at least within Christian theology. And he hasn't squashed this one yet, but evidently they're in a struggle, and we're just little ants. And you think that this one has written a book to tell you that this is the good one. And other Christians think that this one has put a little plug in your heart to tell you that this one's the good one. Maybe this is the good one. Maybe this is the one that's lying, and this one is waiting around to see if you'll ever figure it out. If you'll ever wake up and realize that what this one's telling you to do isn't good just because he says it's good. Maybe neither one of them exists, which is what the position that I'm in which case I'm still able to do what you could do with regard to either one of these, which is evaluate what they're saying and determine whether or not it is more beneficial than harmful. What are its effects on the individual, the society? What kind of society does it produce when we allow things like slavery and genocide and infanticide? Why would any loving being ever order anything like that? Would you? I mean, would you even set up a system like this? And then would you enact it? And could you sit there comfortable knowing that these little peons, these little playthings of yours, just go over and wipe those guys out. They don't love me enough. Oh, and when you do it, make sure you run your swords through their bellies so that we kill the unborn that are in there, because we don't want them to grow up to be heathens. Oh, and slaughter all the cattle and sheep. Yeah, I know you guys are starving and a roving band and you could really use them, but they're so bad that it's ruined their cattle and sheep too, so we better. It's insane.